All right.
Hello, everyone. How's it going?
Hey.
What's up?
We got the Christmas theme going on. Excited to be, excited for the incoming holidays. Team shipping. We just got back from, we actually just got back from Breakpoint ourselves, which was a really great event. And lots and lots to talk about today. So, we'll be passing over to you, Emi.
Yeah, hi everyone. The current state in crypto is the first thing we want to start with. I just got the message that Bitcoin just dropped under $85,000, which is not that great for crypto sentiment. I think Juan, Nikita, you guys have felt it for a few weeks now, I guess I would say. Like, I'm personally very surprised with all the upbringings we had this year in 2025 for crypto, with all the regulation going on, with all the catalysts that you would expect for crypto to do something more in the upwards direction, turning into like a pretty disappointing Q4 till now. Excited to get your thoughts on this and what you would think is the reason for it, or what you think could like be the reason how we move out of this altogether.
Yeah, so definitely, I think it was an unexpected Q4 in terms of the market. If we were talking about like with people from previous conference in the first half of the year, I would say that if we need to put like a prediction market, like a poly market on this, probably the results were not have been like Q4 will be like this. Actually, I remember seeing like it will be like in a new all-time high, having like a great chances a couple months ago. Right now, that's like really hard to think, at least from now till the end of the year. But yeah, ultimately, yes, the current state of the market is not good for a lot of the companies out here. Other ones are like still launching tokens, still doing like their plans in their roadmap. But I think it depends case by case. But ultimately, we are seeing a lot of development in crypto. A lot of big companies, Web2 companies, also trying to push their Web3 ecosystems in here. So definitely, I would say the excitement for crypto is not over at all. But yeah, what are your thoughts, Nikita, as well in here?
Yeah, I mean, being at Breakpoint and some of the other crypto conferences happening in Abu Dhabi, honestly, like from a builder's perspective, it's like price doesn't really matter that much. I would say it's companies are still building, companies are still shipping. There's more announcements coming than ever. Obviously, there's global economic factors that affect price and all this, but I would say the main thing is that you just keep on building. And honestly, this kind of time is it honestly, I think the downturns are always a good time for crypto as well. What it does is it kind of weeds out the teams that are only here for the times of everything's going up, and people that aren't really here to build something long term. And so we've been through tons and tons of these cycles now. Every time our company has only grown bigger and stronger. And so while within the time range of a month or a couple of months, you might be having a bit of a pessimistic outlook. You just keep building. I mean, if people told you Bitcoin would be at this price 3 years ago, people would be laughing at you, and be like, that's not possible, right? And now here we are, and we're upset that it's a downturn. And so yeah, I think overall it's you just keep building and the things will keep growing.
Nikita, that's interesting. We talked about this like the last time, I think 1 or 2 episodes before. We talked about the sentiment being different on Twitter than compared to the conferences you guys attend like very regularly. And if you're just listening to crypto Twitter, and if you're just like the user of crypto Twitter and the only source of information you get is crypto Twitter, I think probably you would think like crypto is dead altogether because like, I don't know, 90% of people just stopped posting altogether on X. And it's interesting because you guys are more at the pulse of the industry if you visit these conferences. And I wanted to ask you guys, both of you, because I, for myself, from a creator perspective, feel that like a lot of creators in the lanes have kind of stopped by now, or for now, creating content right around crypto. They're just taking a break, it seems like, especially with the holidays just around. But what keeps you guys like going and keeps you motivated? Nikita, maybe we start with you. We just touched on that briefly before. Like, I think in times like these, especially for me, it's great to stay here and to show up, because people will remember you for showing up in times like these. And like, it's easy for everyone to just show up if times are easy and everything is all-time high and everyone is just screaming euphoria. But when the markets get bad, this is like when the real builders separate themselves, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, one thing is that the attackers are not sleeping at all, right? In our world of security, prices go up, prices go down. The phishing, the impersonation, the scammers, they're always active, and they always find a way to manipulate the narrative in their favor, right? If prices are going up, then they know there's a lot of greed, there's a lot of FOMO, and they jump on that. If prices are going down, people are still searching for what can be like a quick win, or sometimes they prey on your fear. They will actually tell you, hey, something got hacked, and actually you think your account got hacked, but it's a fake email that then actually hacks your account, right? And so there's a lot of ways that the attackers, they don't care about the market. They don't care about whether it's up or down. Only in the sense that they find a way to take advantage of it to try and steal your money. And so you have to be careful, and you have to be diligent regardless of the times. And crypto can go up or down 10-20%, but you're going to lose 100% if you get drained, right? And so that's a really important piece to be aware of there. And so in terms of like launches, it's been honestly inspiring to see, like, at Breakpoint, for example, it was just like announcement after announcement, right? Just repeatedly on stage. And these teams know that, the cycle is going to adjust in a couple of months. More users are coming in than ever. I think the main thing that I'm interested in is just like how mainstream it's becoming. Banks are launching their own stable coins. Tons of payment providers are starting to accept crypto now as payment. And like the vision we've all been building towards is coming to fruition. So that's helping me stay, optimistic about everything.
Yeah, yeah, I see like a pretty similar scenario than like Nikita. Like on the security side of things, a scammer will target you in these days more than ever. You're with your family, you're celebrating, so you're not taking like a double check on things that you regularly might be taking more attention. So definitely it's like a great moment for them to attack you. So this is when you need to have protection in place, and companies like Chain Patrol, but other security providers as well, that can help you prevent like any hack on your smart contracts, or also any impersonations that might be targeting your community and targeting your team members as well. And yeah, overall, I think that a lot of people in the industry is still launching tokens, still launching their pre-sales, so that's not stopping. For example, we're working with a few right now that are like in that current stage.
Lots of TGs.
In place. And that's not stopping. Also, that a lot of companies also we are talking right now are how like their tokens plan to be launched on Q1 and next year. So definitely that's something that is still in place. That's not changing due to the market right now. But yeah, other cases, we speak with a lot of people from all over the world, and some of them like tell us like, yeah, maybe this is not like a great time to have like this conversation, but let's revisit it when the market is better. That happens, I think, not only in crypto. I think also this in like SP 500 companies, when the market is down, it's a bit more hard to make business. But ultimately, if you provide like something that might be valuable and that makes sense ultimately for the people and companies involved in this space, that definitely makes sense either way. But yeah, that's my thoughts.
One thing that might get people excited is new launches, and especially since you guys are often present at these conferences, Nikita, I think you might have an idea or two about like new products or new launches coming to the crypto system or ecosystem in general. I think yesterday Coinbase, you were there like previously, Nikita, they introduced like stocks coming to on-chain trading. I didn't understand it fully, but from my point of view, basically you now have like a stock market where you are limited to opening times, quote unquote, right? And then you will be able to use Coinbase, to trade stocks like 24/7, if I understand that correctly.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a number of companies that are all pushing on this. Coinbase being, definitely bringing it to a very wide audience. And yeah, what we're seeing there is like stocks being brought into a tradable format where you can now you can connect them to like DeFi strategies, connect your crypto to it, and all this stuff. So I think that'll be really powerful. We're also seeing prediction markets being added into the platform as well. They have a partnership there, and so lots of I think what exchanges are seeing is they have a ton of distribution, right? Like right now, the volume of users on exchanges is something like 80% of all crypto users, rough numbers there, and then around 20% are in self-custody. And so, while there is a lot of improvements happening in the self-custodial like wallet world, a ton of the benefits are not fully realized yet by exchange users, and I think that's what Coinbase has been quite focused on recently, is bridging that gap between all the on-chain benefits, their work with Morpho, for example, and other DeFi protocols, and bringing that to all the exchange users, because the world of on-chain DeFi has improved a ton. And there's many things that you can do that are actually not even like, maybe not so impossible in the traditional finance world, but they become a lot better when you bring DeFi into there. And so what these exchanges are realizing are, wait, we can still have these certain protections for our users that come from having a centralized exchange, while also bringing in the usability, all the benefits of DeFi to our users, all the benefits of stock trading and all these other areas. So yeah, very, very interesting, because now it's like there's like a highway between every point of finance. Whereas before, like, stocks lived in their own world, lending lived in its own world. Others existed in their, it's kind of like all these financial products. You kind of had, one portal you would use for them, one specific way of doing them. And for example, you couldn't maybe like trade your stock position or lend based off your stock position, or take a loan and then put that into buying additional stocks, right? That easily. You could potentially do it, but it would take you days or weeks of like wiring together different financial pieces. Whereas now this is all becoming way more interconnected. So that's, pretty exciting.
Juan, what are your thoughts on any new launches or any upcoming things you might be excited about?
Juan, we might have lost your audio.
You're right. I'm back. Yes, I was mentioned. I was excited for some pre-sales and launches that I'm seeing right now in the space. Like definitely tell us a lot of payment providers that are trying to incorporate crypto as a general. A lot of the stable coins also being traded natively, like on Solana, on different chains as well. And those is something really different from other cycles that I have been here. And also I see a lot of apps right now that allow you to get like a crypto card and start like paying with funds from that. For example, MetaMask launched one, I think, like during ETC, but a couple months ago. And now I'm seeing that everywhere, like a lot of different companies doing that, launching those kind of services, and also doing like actually really big Series A, Series B around that, because I think that's like a new narrative that is going to the surface right now. So definitely that's exciting, because I think that's like what will also bridge the gap between going to anywhere, pay with crypto, and you didn't know that it's actually something paid in crypto, and also for people like you and me that are like based in different parts of the world, being able to have like receive transfers and not knowing that you are receiving like that with crypto. Like you just receive like your money in the bank, but you don't know like what's the infrastructure that has been passing on the back end on that. But that was actually crypto, and you receive the money really fast and effectively, rather than to wait a couple days for a SWIFT transfer, or maybe also a couple days for an ACH transfer. That's something that I think crypto is closing the gap. And a lot of companies are trying to solve that problem. It will be interesting for me at least to see like main difference, because between all these different kind of companies doing these kind of product launches, but definitely I see this a lot right now in the space, and that's definitely interesting for me.
Yeah, I mean, like, we were talking about is that just crypto payments in general, they're coming to the real world now. I think that was one of the biggest challenges of the past couple of years is you could accumulate crypto, you could buy it, you could trade it, but you couldn't really use it day to day. You couldn't go buy groceries or get a mortgage with it or something else that's similar. And there was honestly a lot of even banks wanted to be careful and protect themselves. And so there was a lot of, they'd rather just not touch it, not deal with it at all. And so, but now that the regulation is becoming more clear, there's a lot of excitement because, I mean, the banks and the others, they're smart financial players as well. They understand where things are headed. And so, yeah, I'm just excited for the day where, majority of my funds are in crypto and I can go and spread them day to day without even staying in fiat at all. So that's going to be very interesting.
What I find pretty interesting is that, especially for countries that aren't like as fortunate as the Western world, it's pretty much a game changer to be able to hold stable coins or receive payments in stable coins, because like many of us don't think about that. Some countries, let's say some certain countries in Africa, for example, they are not able to use PayPal, for example, right? They are not able to send money via PayPal just over to their friends via an email. So stable coins are very interesting to them because they can actually for once receive money like in US dollars, for example, from someone who just like, I don't know, like ordered a service from them or something, which they weren't able to do so before. And also like the stocks that you talked about, Nikita, I have like a friend who told me that he has like cousins in Africa, and he says like it's basically like impossible for the guys in Africa to buy stocks in their country, like in the special country they are from, because it's so regulated and it doesn't allow for the citizens to buy stocks just like that. Again, like we in the Western world are very privileged to be able to access all of these markets like with a blink of an eye, but they are not. And I think like we sometimes we disregard the fact because we like are from the Western world and we are so used to the convenience that we got, that a lot of countries that hadn't had the convenience yet, they will massively like benefit from this.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, I think even here with our banking system, things have not been perfect, but it is definitely feels like a more marginal improvement to the average person. What I do think where we'll see this is also in the larger businesses and people doing, retail, like selling physical goods, all of these kinds of pieces, where especially like margins are important and the transaction costs are important. Right now, a lot of those costs are just being passed on to the individual businesses. And I can see them, now that the flow of crypto is much smoother, of them starting to transition more and more to crypto payment rails, because a 0.5%, 1% saving on all their, on all the work that they're doing actually is a major impact for many of these businesses. And so I think that's going to be they're going to be one of the drivers for crypto adoption. But yeah, speaking of retail, we can probably talk about some some security tips here.
I got one. So I read a story, I think on Twitter, like today or yesterday, I'm not 100% sure, but someone stated he was drained, and basically he said like his ledger was drained, and like ledger just to be a placeholder for a hardware wallet right here. His ledger was drained, and yeah, basically like he said, I never shared my 24 words, I never like entered them anywhere, blah blah blah. But ultimately, when we read the stories, it usually comes down to like a user mishandling the seed phrase, because at least for me, Nikita, Juan, tell me if you have experienced something else, but it's not possible, or it's not known that like any hardware wallet company had like a bigger leak or was ever vulnerable to users like exploring their seed phrases. So when it comes to this, that there's usually like the user, quote unquote, at fault, and there are like multiple reasons we talked about like on certain episodes before. One of them is being like having digital backups of your seed phrase, which always is a risk if you have for example, a photo in your Google Drive or a TXT file in your iCloud account, etc. These are all like attack vectors that can be used against you. And I think like we are all on the same page, or we do all agree that it's probably more easy to hack like a Gmail account or an iOS account from someone than just like to go to their like physical address and then steal the seed phrase or the ledger or whatever. So usually it's the user most likely not knowingly making a fault, but then you only read like the thread or the post on X, and you kind of get like a panic attack, so to say, like, oh my God, am I at risk if I'm using Ledger, Trezor, OneKey, you name them, right? This is like something that like the average user, they just read this and they are like basically panicking and are thinking, oh my God, am I at risk? Maybe they have like a life changing money on their wallets. And I just want to state that usually like in 99.999% of the cases that I know of, it's like the user mishandling the seed phrase or the handling of the hardware wallet in general.
And that's definitely that's a pretty clear fact, honestly. Like in many of these cases, one, if there was a way to hack your ledger without or your hardware wallet without compromising your seed phrase in some other way, but it was actually a device hack, you would not be the only person impacted. That's one major thing, right? If we have just your own, let's say, I don't know, a few $100K was stolen, maybe $1 million was stolen, there'd be many more such cases. There are exploits known as, zero-day hacks. This is when there's a certain critical vulnerability found at a hardware level, usually, or at the operating system level. And these are possible. These do exist. This happens on, but usually those are extremely rare, and the attackers will 0 days are like worth like millions and millions of dollars. You wouldn't just use it to hack a single device. If you found an exploit like that, there'd be way more funds stolen all at once. And so one thing you need to think about, like, how are you traveling somewhere? Did you leave this device in your hotel room? Did you leave it at somewhere at home, but maybe you have like cleaners coming over, you had friends or guests coming over, right? Maybe some strangers coming over that were invited along with your friends that did some snooping around, right? Or something else like this. Did you have any of those those digital backups like you were mentioning, right? So honestly, that is a pretty common reaction with a lot of people. It's like, oh, well, I didn't make any mistakes, so it must have been some sort of magical hack, right? And one, we'd never want to blame the victim of the individual user, right? It's but you need to have an investigator mindset and then like put your hat on and analyze the situation of what happened, right? You need to dig through who had access to this device, rather than just saying, oh, it's some sort of like unknown exploit. You can always figure out, you need to but this is where what we call postmortems are important. It's where, you write out, basically as much history as you can remember of like, where were you at what times? Are there any points in time where it could have been compromised? And just the more details you can gather, the better you'll be at figuring out what actually happened. And there's also orgs that you can hire that can help you with this. But the only one thing to mention on orgs that you can hire is oftentimes, if you this is actually an important point, if you ever speak publicly about getting hacked, you will get tons of people reaching out to you claiming they can help recover your funds. Any good investigator that actually knows what they're doing, the very first thing they will tell you is 99% of the time we won't be able to recover the funds. You can still pay us a retainer and we can help, but in most cases we will not recover the funds, right? And so that's the very first. If they're promising you guaranteed recovery, this is another scammer trying to get some last bit of money out of you. And so that's something to be careful of as well.
Yeah, on Ledger specifically, and this issue that you shared with me, this story, I think there are like several things to analyze, because I agree with everything that Nikita said in terms of you need to know if someone compromised your key, for example, because if I'm correct, Ledger needs you to write the 24 word in a physical sheet all the time. So you don't know, you probably have like that physical copy and you don't know who may have access to that. If you have like that in a bank safe, maybe got compromised and that was the way that you lost access to that. And apart from that, specifically, I know that Ledger has two different things and backups. And if they haven't shared like any compromise on those, probably that may also be like a problem of the user. But Ledger have like this Ledger recovery key that is like an NFC little card that you basically get like another backup of your seed phrase. It's like a digital backup, but this is like made by them. And it's more secure because that also has like a PIN code specifically attached to that. And apart from that, Ledger has this Ledger Recover service that I think that they offer like at $10 per month, something like that. And that's like another digital way to back up your seed phrase that Ledger offers natively. So in this specific case, if those two ways weren't compromised, that may be like an issue might be probably for the user. And apart from that, I think all of us that at least have like one Ledger device knows that you have like a PIN code in all your assets. And for interacting with the blockchain, you don't need to have like the 24 words every time. If someone has your PIN code, they can do like interactions with your Ledger. And if they got like access to your Ledger, that can be one thing. If they got access to this Ledger recovery key that also has like a specific PIN code, that may be another way that you got compromised. So I think like Nikita, like you need to analyze the whole scenario. You need to say, where was my Ledger recovery key? Did anyone know like my PIN code? PIN codes also are like pretty predictable. Usually it's a date that you remind. Usually it's like a birthday that you remind, your dog's birthday, whatever you may find and you do with your PIN codes. But that's something that you can actually extract and you can it's predictable. What I'm saying is predictable, and you need to understand if you got compromised that way instead of just blaming the software. Because I agree, compromising a hard wallet and seed phrase is like pretty weird if you don't get compromised in the physical way. So yeah, definitely interesting to analyze. Would love to speak with someone from Ledger internally to explain more about like their processes on this. But yeah, it's pretty interesting to see what may be done after these cases as well.
What's interesting about the Ledger device is that it resets itself after you enter the PIN wrong for 3 times. And Nikita, have you ever come across like someone from Trezor maybe, and they explain to you why they put a limit of, I think, 15 or 16 times into a Trezor? For me personally, it always seems like a bit extensive to have like 15 or 16 tries, because like we all have the credit cards or the EC cards we carry with us, and they usually just lock themselves as well if you just enter it 3 times. And 15 and 16, I always like was like, hey, that's like a lot of guesses for someone that might find your hardware wallet device.
Interesting. Yeah, I've never heard of that many. I wonder if it has to do maybe with how many people they saw getting locked out of their devices as well, right? That's the other thing that's, a bit trickier than normal with, if you were dealing with, let's say a bank, you can always call somebody up at the end of the day. They can do some verification for you and unlock your device. But the whole point of these hardware wallets is that nobody can really touch them for you, right? And so otherwise that would be a security vulnerability in a way. And so that's maybe part of the reasoning that they have around that many, but it definitely is more than I've ever heard. So that's an interesting kind of design choice there. Yeah, I think there's in terms of just like, what we can see there with the hardware wallets, with just like advice for the end of the year is really, the holidays are coming up. We've people will be gifting things to each other. Maybe give your friends or your relatives like a Ledger for Christmas.
Oh God! Please do not accept the Ledger with a pre-filled seed phrase card, people.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. You have to have it.
Or at least create a new
Maybe
one.
give them like a gift card and tell them how to set it up. Help them set it up. That's actually a good point, because there are supply chain attacks and if your friend gave it to you, maybe they know all your setups there. So yeah, that's an interesting thought. But yeah, spread the gift of security to your friends, and keep in mind that during this time is also when we actually see spikes in attacks. So if something sounds too good to be true, just stay careful as you always would.
Yeah, same for me. Be careful with your Christmas gift. That's a crazy advice for people outside crypto. But yeah, just be careful on that. I think, yeah, if anyone gives me like a ledger or a transfer device, I'll probably see if I can get my money back and buy it myself. So probably for crypto people, don't give hard wallets, just give money to buy those hard wallets. And in a stable coin, not in Bitcoin, because they will just invest that. And yeah, excited for the holidays. Hope that everyone has like a really good time with their families. And yeah, get ready for 2026 because things are not slowing down in crypto in general.
Yeah, let's just like conclude the ledger example. If you have like a ledger and you reset it because like you entered your PIN wrong for 3 times, it's not like you can take it and throw it in the bin. So you can just like set it up again. And if you have your seed phrase, which you should always have, because like that's the only backup to your crypto in case shit goes down the drain, then you are able to just like set up the ledger fresh and restore from the backup of the seed phrase, and then you are able to use it again. So it might reset, but that's like a security feature, so the attacker doesn't get like unlimited attempts to insert any pin attempts that you might have used in the past. So just keep your seed phrase in a secure place and make it durable. I think this is like a good way to keep your stuff safe and never have digital backups of your seed phrase. That's like my number one mantra to live by, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining. Hope you have a great holiday period and stay safe out there. Thank you, everyone. До свидания.
Chao, hasta luego. Tengan muy buenas Navidades y fiestas.
Frohe Weihnachten und ein gesundes neues Jahr.
Bye. Thank you.